Best I can do. Yeah. Welcome, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the board meeting for the Wiseburn Unified School District for April 20th, 2022. Nice to have you here. Nice to see everybody in person. Thank you to our cabinet, to our guests, our leadership, and our teachers and parents who may be watching at home. And of course, my fellow volunteer board members, good to see you all. Tonight is a regularly scheduled board meeting. We will have a special presentation on our physical education program. Thank you. And I ask at this time for a motion to adopt the agenda. Here, motion. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Tracking that for Wendy. We'll now move to the Pledge of Allegiance. Dr. Ingram, would you be so kind?
Place right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Thank you. We'll now turn to from the public and comments from the public, but before we do, we revisit the share your thoughts as we do at all of our meetings. There was one thought that wished to be shared on our website, and that was a question about the Pledge of Allegiance at our schools. Just wondering if we were doing that every day, and the comment was made to give the students an option if they wish to abstain. Perhaps at some point in one of your reports we get feedback on that. At this time, Ms. Subaki, do we have any public comments?
I do have a public comment I received from Maria Flores Acosta. She wanted to know if we could consider opening up the property on 135th and Aviation for parking for Rock Around the Block.
Perhaps we can explore that in individual comments. Anyone from the public wish to make a comment? The hundreds of you out there. No, all right. Then let's move to our special presentation. Dr. Silvers, do you want to introduce our guests?
Sure. I mean, I would love to introduce them, and I think I'll let Ms. Wilberg and Dr. Harbeck share do more, but I'm just really, really happy to welcome Lisa Wilberg and Ms. Lauren Shackstad. You know, really, if you want to see a joyful experience, go watch kids in PE in elementary schools with Lauren as their teacher. I mean, it's really a remarkable sight, you know, to see the little ones playing around. It's also really nice what we're able to do in terms of leveraging professional growth and learning opportunities for staff. So a good system all the way around, and really a wonderful opportunity. So Eileen, I don't know if you wanted to share something, but I turn it over.
Just because I don't want to steal your thunder, but this is something new this year that we're working on, and we're just so pleased to have Lauren here and to have her support our PE program.
Thank you to Lauren for coming with me here tonight. Thank you to our board and for our district administrators for welcoming us. There's been really big shifts to elementary PE this year, and we really just wanted to kind of give you an overview of what that's looked like, because it was a lot of planning going into the year, and now that we've made it just about through the year, we've just been really pleased with the results, and we wanted to share what that's sort of looked like with all of you here today. So Wendy, if you could go to the next slide. So first of all, I wanted to just quickly talk about like what exactly changed. Up until this year, the elementary schools had been partnering with the YMCA to bring in coaches who were not certificated staff. They were trained PE coaches, but they would take 2 classes at a time out for PE, and then one of our teachers would go with the classes and the other teacher would have planning time during that time, but it was all staggered and all at different times throughout the school day. Now, all of a grade level go out at the same time because we are so lucky to have a certificated teacher guiding our program along with her team of aides. And so that's kind of the big shift this year. It's gone from having kind of piecemeal under the YMCA to having a bit more cohesive program, considerably more cohesive program under Coach Shackstad with her team of aides. So Wendy, if you go to the next slide, and then a little bit from me, and then I will let Coach Shackstad share. So why exactly should we have embarked upon this change to the program? Two really big reasons, both of which have been huge positives for us. One is which we feel it's been a much higher quality PE experience for our students. It's cohesive, it's standards aligned to the health and fitness standards. Coach Shackstad is a certificated teacher. She's an expert in teaching PE, and she runs a very well organized, rigorous, and engaging program for our students. There's not a lot of waiting around. It's very active. It's super, no waiting around,
No,
maybe.
we don't
It's
wait.
super,
We
it's
don't wait.
super active and engaging for the kids, and we've seen a higher level of basically joy and fun from them coming out of PE. And then it also can like merge into the middle school program a lot more seamlessly as the students go through the grade levels. The other big reason why we wanted to do this is to allow weekly grade level teacher collaboration time at our school sites, which is the first time ever we've been able to do this consistently every single week during the school day. And it is huge for us because it means that all 6 of our first grade teachers or our second grade teachers or our TK and K teachers can actually meet and plan for instruction together during the school day every single week. And it has definitely been a huge reason in why we have seen such growth in when we have a new initiative like Writers Workshop, because there's this time every single week for them to be working and learning and planning together. So 2 really important and very positive outcomes have come from this. And then I'll hand it over to Coach Shackstad to talk a little bit about what it looks like on our next slide.
Thank you so much. So I was going to make you guys do the cha-cha slide at the beginning of this, but I changed my mind, but maybe next time. Thank you so much, Mrs. Wilberg, and thank you to the board and admin for taking a big leap of faith with this program. When Lisa first presented this idea to me, over a year ago, I said 2 things. First and foremost, that is a big undertaking. And secondly, I want it to be me who does it. I just believe so much in this program. And it's been a wild ride and I wouldn't change it for anything. So our program for the week, a general week for us, I have 4 now, outstanding instructional aids. And I have to highlight that because when I tell you about the class sizes and how much movement there is and how rigorous I demand our program to be, I need 4 outstanding aides, and that is they have exceeded those expectations. And you'll see their faces in a little bit on our little video. But we have 1 team and obviously 3 schools that we rotate. Sometimes we go to 2 schools on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then on Tuesday and Thursday we just stay at Anza serving TK through 5th grade. So every day it's a wild ride. We usually see a TK through 5 day, which means as we talk about standards-based alignment, it's really important to me that my team is ready to go from the 5-year-olds to the 11-year-olds, maybe within 30 minutes. So that's very important to me, and we follow very standards-based PE curriculum. And as Ms. Wilberg says, there is not a lot of waiting around. So in a general day, of course, the kids come out and we'll see anywhere from 100 students at Anza per grade level to 155 at Cabrillo and 138, which means we have got to have a really great organized structure in order to keep those kids moving and safe. Obviously, that's a lot of kids moving around a field or on a blacktop. So of course we do stations. So we'll see 2 to 3 stations where we're either focused on a skill like a basketball dribble, and then obviously a station that's fitness based. So we want to make sure that the kids have a great trajectory into the middle school with a really fitness based background. So they know about health standards and fitness based backgrounds. And I think that's it for me. You'll see the aids pictures coming up. We made a little video just so you can see the kids in action. This is a little preview of how much fun they have. But I hope you notice their huge smiles and sweaty faces.
You have to see it. You have to see it. Us talking about it doesn't nearly explain.
Sure. Oh, sorry.
Y'all ready for this? for this? Y'all ready for this?
Basketball! Basketball! Castle ball! Hula hoop! Castle ball! Castle ball! Soccer! Basketball!
Thank you for letting us share a little bit with you, and thank you to the district administration and the board for supporting us and trying out this new system this year. We've been so pleased with it, and a big thank you to Coach Shackstad and to her whole team of aides, because they're just so wonderful and we're so lucky to have them. So thank you.
Thank you, guys. And before you leave, Coach, I said, Rebecca and I got a chance to see you, and actually, you may not have noticed we were there when Ms. Wilbur was. You are a renewable energy source that Tesla can run. It's just so impressive and engaging to see you and your aides. You're a well-oiled machine. And what was really fun is that in our visit, I was going to say this later, but I wanted you to hear this. In our visit, we were also able to visit the teachers in their TCT time, which this program is enabling. And that was candidly as inspiring as what was happening with the kids. So kudos to the cabinet for envisioning this. Kudos for the execution. Really well done. And thank you so very much.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for the kind words. And we're a team, and I talk to the teachers all the time, and it's about consistency for Writers Workshop. And the TCT time for teachers is as important to me as PE is. And so it's important to me to give them that time and be consistent. So we don't have to cancel PE or cancel TCT time. So thank you very much for the kind words. And thank you. Thank you.
I want to thank you both. It's obviously a win-win situation, as you described. The kids have a better PE program, and then the teachers get that collaboration time. Along the same lines, I like the fact that there's collaboration probably taking place among all the schools, right? One question I have in looking at the chart is, are the students receiving the same amount of PE meetings from school site to school site? Because I noticed Anza gets 2 days, but the other schools get 3 days. So I kind of want to make sure from a parity standpoint that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Each grade level, each student gets 2 50-minute sessions each week. So even though Anza looks like it's taking up the whole day, we see the entire school at Anza on Tuesday and Thursday. So that's six sessions, including TK first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, all on Tuesday and Thursday, whereas the other 3 days are broken up. But each grade level gets 2 50-minute sessions.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to district updates. Section 4, Wiseburn and Davinci Articulation. I'm pleased to report that we will be meeting, I believe, next week. Roger, is our first meetings
Yes.
on 2 of the committees. A shout out, thank you to Brian Meath from Davinci's board for reaching out and for us getting this all going. So looking forward to that. We'll have more to report upcoming, but that's they're starting and looking forward to those meetings. I also believe we're trying to schedule our next joint board meeting either in May or June, is my understanding. Hopefully have that done by our next meeting.
And along those lines, our finance and facilities meeting is Wednesday, the 27th.
Mhm.
And then we have a governance meeting, and that's on May 3rd.
Good, so that's 2 weeks, perfect. Both before our next board meeting.
Yes.
Dr. Goldman, can I just share one item? I did have a chance to talk to Matt Wonder, to Dr. Wonder today, and he's going to talk to the Davinci trustees as well. He was wondering if we should hold some of these 2x2 meetings first, some of the articulation meetings first. Maybe May would be too soon. So trying to figure out when the best point in the school year or in the next couple months would be to hold that meeting. So
I'm perfectly good with that. I don't think anybody would argue with that. Let's see if we can move farther along to make this as productive as possible. Great. Section 5 from the board. Ms. Hamburg?
Sure. Really excited to see the elementary PE program. I mean, I've got 2 elementary students myself at Cabrillo and 138 that I know that they really enjoy being in PE, both very active kids. So thank you to Coach Shastan. And, I had the privilege of watching what you did during school closure too. And so, when you took this on, I knew you would be great. You could keep the kids engaged on Zoom. It was a preview of all the good things to come. So thank you for all you're doing there and for the vision to do that, Ms. Wilburn. So I'm also really excited to celebrate Wiseburn Education Foundation's 25th birthday this year, and with Rock Around the Block on April 30th at Dana. So for all those people who haven't been before, since it's been a couple years since we've done it in person the way that we have done it for 15 years or so. Please come on out and enjoy that. There's going to be games and prizes and food and of course music. So we've got elementary PE now. We also have elementary music, and all of those students are going to, as many of them are going to be performing all the way up through our 12th graders. So really excited to see that. And the auction is open now, so make sure that you're going and bidding, because all of those monies are coming right back to our schools and supporting the wonderful programs like PE and music and all of those extra things. So really looking forward to that. The auction is open now through May 1st, actually the day after Rock Around the Block. It's not going to close until the day after. And Friday is the last day to order your discounted tickets for Rock Around the Block, which you need for all the games and prizes and foods and all of that. But you can check out Wef's Instagram and Facebook page for more details and for all the links to go and do those fabulous things. And of course, to volunteer, because WEF is a volunteer-run organization too, and they need volunteers to make Rock Around the Block exciting and fun for everybody. And I know that they would appreciate having that. Done it for the last 5 years. It will be exciting. I'm excited that we'll be back there in person. That's all I have tonight.
And the thing reminder, you may have said it, but April 30th.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, at the very beginning, April 30th.
And can the website, does the website have access to the auctions? People know where to go.
Yeah, I can. So the auction website is the short link is bit.ly/ and then it is case sensitive. So it's capital R, capital A, capital B, and then lowercase auction, AUCTION 2022. So we're at auction 2022. But that's on the Facebook and Instagram pages.
Perfect. Thank you. Ms. Martinez.
Dr. Goldman, well, I want to welcome everyone back from spring recess. So hopefully everyone had a wonderful break and happy Easter. And I'm also excited for some of the upcoming in-person events. We have probably a busy month and a half with open houses and Rock Around the Block, and obviously we're winding down, so promotions and graduations are not far from that. So that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Banuelos.
Thank you, Dr. Goldman. A couple things. Rebecca, thank you for the update on Rock Around the Block. Definitely looking forward to attending. It's such a wonderful event. I mean, our entire community gets to come out and enjoy it and spend some time together with all the students and our teachers and volunteers. So I love it. I'm really looking forward to it. So thank you for that update. Also looking forward to attending the open house tomorrow for at 138th Street. That's at 7 o'clock. Is that the right time? 5:30. It's much earlier. I would have missed it. Thank you. 5:30. Thank you. And then the final comment I have is I just wanted to say congratulations to our Davinci robotics team. They are currently in Houston competing in the World Championships. So we have an unbelievable team of they've actually won the World Championship in the past, and they're competing again this year in the World Championships in Houston because they were the winners of the Chairman's Award. So there's a lot, without going into the details, there's a lot of ways that you win a regional and actually qualify to go to World Championships. Or you can volunteer and have thousands of hours of community service, maybe coach and mentor other teams, and then you qualify, interview, and get selected for a Chairman's Award. And this year, the Davinci team was selected for the Chairman's Award, and they're currently in the competition. Today's 7th day, so here's crossing my fingers and wishing them luck, wishing them well in that competition. So I wanted to share that with everyone as well. That's all I have.
Thank you, Roger. My thoughts, just again, to Coach Shackstad and Swover, thank you for, and to Dr. Silvers. We had a chance, Rebecca and I, to visit Cabrillo. Just a great visit. I'm pleased. Thank you, Wendy, for setting up now that the world is opening again, we have now quarterly scheduled meetings at all the schools, and we'll look forward to getting back out there into the school sites and seeing all the great things that are happening in our schools. It was very inspiring. It's fun to see. If you ever have a moment that you need to pick me up, just see learning in the kids' eyes. It's just a beautiful thing. I think you guys covered everything I wanted to share, so I'm not going to be redundant. I will just leave it there. Hope everybody had a good spring break and welcome back. So we'll turn now to the cabinet, and Ms. Mazzarella, our Director of Psychological Services. Thoughts for us?
Live.
It is.
Okay, great. So good evening, everyone. Hope everyone had a great spring break. I just have a quick share about Dr. Harbeck and I have been in discussion about establishing an advisory group for parents of students with special needs, and that was something you had brought up at the last meeting, Ms. Hamburg. But we had been in discussion about it in the past, but we're looking at it as it relates to participation in the LPAC as well. We'd like the group to be a conduit for feedback and input to us as well as a way for parents to have some, in a structured format, to get maybe some trainings and workshops that would be helpful to them to work with their own students that have, and I say special needs because I don't know it's necessarily type of parents that have kids with IEPs. I think it's a child with, unique learning needs where parents maybe feel like they need some support. So like a support group as well. The LCAP process, of course, is inclusive of all students and families. And so we felt like this would be a nice way to connect the group to the LCAP process. Like I said, we want to include workshops, and an example of a workshop could be how to support your student in completing their homework, because that's often a big struggle for all families. Been there myself, even though I was a teacher, that was a hard one for me. So anyway, that's all I have to share.
Thank you, Peggy. Our Assistant Soup of Ed Services, Dr. Harbeck.
Thank you. We have a visit next week from the LA County Arts Collective. Each year they provide us with an advancement grant. And this year, I know I've spoken about this before, we received a $20,000 advancement grant. And we're so thankful for this partnership. We've had it for many years, as long as I can remember. And the whole idea behind this grant is to grow your arts program in some way. So we offer a grant request, they provide the funding, and each year they come out and they want to visually see what we've done with the money, and also what we've done with our larger arts program. So, along with WEF's support and the LA County Arts Grant, we've been very fortunate. This year, we're going to be able to tour them on Wednesday. We're going to be looking at our hands-on art project called Reweaving Our Threads. It's on all our TK through 5 campuses. All students participated in it across the campus, TK through 5, which is very sweet, and teachers. We also are going to give them feedback on the popular family art nights, which include dance and music. We're also going to walk them through our Violins for All in our 5th grade, our expansion of the music program. So we're very proud of what we've done this year. And
we're also very thankful for their partnership. So looking forward to that Wednesday. In the area of informational technology, this week, we are going to ensure seamless access to technology, especially during testing in May. We have our state mandated testing coming up in May. We want to make sure all our students are completely available. Those computers are available to all of our students. We're doing this by adding some devices to our infrastructure, making sure we have some backups for that. We'll be coming back to the board with a larger plan to reinforce our infrastructure this summer. We're looking at that. We're researching right now some ways to do that efficiently and effectively for the future of our district. So this is just to make sure that we're ready to go through May. And I just want to point out that, you know, our schools are really ready for this testing. And as much as we worry about assessments and children, how much time they spend in front of assessments, these assessments really individualize and provide parents and caregivers with feedback about their students and where they are with reading, math, and for 5th and 8th grade science. So May is our month and we're looking forward to its real positive effect in Wiseburn. We never approach things negatively, but we will have tech on board. All our IT team will be on campuses as Ms. Nitzos has geared up everyone, our principals and our staff to get ready for this. So that's my report tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our superintendent, Dr. Silvers.
Thank you, Dr. Goldman. First, thank you to Lauren and Lisa for putting together that presentation. It's really
And if you don't, feel free, you don't have to stay. You're welcome to take it.
All right. Just a few things from me. I just wanted to give a brief renaming update. I want to thank Dr. Harback and Dr. Ingram for helping spearhead the next meeting, which is this coming Tuesday. I believe it's the 26th, right? Is that the right date? Sorry. And really the focus of that is to bring the team back together again, to bring the Citizens Advisory Committee back together again, to sort of reignite that conversation. We're moving away from, you know, should we rename to now, how does renaming look? You know, I know there needs to be some exploration of money, which we'll do internally to try and capture, you know, what the true cost would be of renaming, you know, individual sites and then the larger scheme of all the sites. We also want to take a look at board policy and how the names can be actually formulated or recommended based on the board policy. So basically there's two ways that we can rename schools per the current board policy. One would be a name of a person of stature in the community or the greater community. And then the second is a regional area, street name, place, that kind of thing. So we want to have those conversations, start engaging the community advisory or the Citizens Advisory Committee on that discussion. So thank you again to Dr. Harback and Dr. Ingram for the work there and the support for this meeting coming up. Also wanted, now I'm going to kick it to Mr. Magnuson, just for a quick budget update. I know we had had our second interim report last board meeting, had some questions there and just wanted to see if Greg can just provide a quick overview today before we bring back a more formal presentation at the next meeting.
Yes, thanks, Dr. Silvers, and good evening, members of the board. As the board's aware, we're going through kind of a revisiting of the budget and a reassignment and allocation of several cost categories due to the large number of lots of money we have from COVID. And so we're in good stead on that process. Cabinet has rolled up their sleeves as well as the business office to make sure that we're properly accounting and properly aligning those costs. We expect to bring to you in May a pro forma update from what you saw at second interim, and we're expecting positive results with respect to your discretionary income and the bottom line, frankly. So look forward to that at your next meeting.
Thank you.
Certainly.
So actually, you just want to give one final update too on we did the Moody's
We did. As you may recall, the board directed us to go out and have bonds re-rated, the district's credit rating updated, in fact, by Moody's. That did occur. We provided voluminous information to our fiscal advisor, which was then passed on to Moody's, and enjoyed a grueling interview with the Moody's analyst. And after all was said and done, they reaffirmed your credit rating at AA2, which is very good. They cited the strength of the district and its conservative budgeting practices, as well as the benefit of having an evergreen parcel tax, which allows you additional flexibility. So very good activity there to support a very good credit rating.
Nice to hear. Thank you.
A couple items on facilities, just to circle back on a couple items I brought up to the board, I believe at the last meeting, if not an informal conversation I may have had Dr. Goldman with you. But one item was there was an unused property tax or property fee in the neighborhood of $800,000 that OPSC had basically levied on the district. We had about $187,000 that was removed from or was taken by OPSC prior to us receiving our funding. And that was going to happen over about 5 scheduled payments to the total of $800+ thousand. Just had to do with the bureaucratic system, the bureaucracy, and a lack of turning in a piece of paper, basically literally a fillable PDF document. So we just backfilled that when it went back in, submitted that documentation back to 2014. And so we're pretty good to go. Now that'll go to the state controller's office, or actually OPSC first in a board meeting. Pending approval, which we expect to get, it would then go to the state controller to make good on the 187 that we spent or that was taken, and then also to sort of make right on our unused property. It wouldn't be determined as unused property anymore.
Is it expected that will happen before end of fiscal June 30 year?
With the state, probably not. Yeah, I'm gonna just say it's probably not expected. I mean, we'd be hopeful, I guess, but I doubt it.
We'll work that into the numbers. Okay.
Second piece is, just to give some updates on the pool. It was brought to our attention about a month ago that the pool was offline due to the heater furnaces. We did get information from the city recently that there may have been an issue with the size of the heaters. So we're diving into that now. We did reach out to Archpac, to our contractors that put in the pool, and we'll look at other options on how we can respond to the city. And basically we want an operable pool. So the goal is to get that pool operational. So more to come on that, but just wanted to give, I know you may have heard or seen or received information on that, so wanted to just provide it.
We are in conversation with the city to move this forward.
Right. And then just want to talk a little bit about school schedule. We are going to start bringing to the board a conversation regarding breakfast and then also our extended learning opportunity program. And the breakfast program for all, is Meals for All, is going to be implemented next year, and that's a mandate from the state that we're going to, or from the federal government, where we're going to have to provide breakfast for all students in the morning. So we're going to have to work out some scheduling items here, particularly for our employers, the CSEA, the food service employees who come in and serve that food, because we're putting together a budget now, trying to look at what that cost will be. How we would extend hours. Is it manageable to extend hours? What options we have outside of that? So we're putting together the pieces now, working with cabinet, with Eileen, with Greg, trying to get together how we're gonna be able to manage this into next year. So just wanted to put that out there so the board understands that. And
as I understand it, this is a 1-year mandate for 9 hours of coverage.
so the second piece, yes. So I'm sorry, I was talking the food service, yes, and then the extended learning opportunity. Do you want to speak to that a little bit, Eileen? Sorry.
Yeah, the Extended Learning Opportunities Program, and it's not to be confused with other funding that we've received that have extended learning phrasing in them. So this is totally separate. This funding is being given to public schools to extend the school day, and this just means for after school, summer, and also what they call intercession, if you had that, if you were in the upper grades. But this is all the way through 6th grade. It's primarily for your unduplicated pupil population, which we've spoken about, on our LCAP, that comes into focus, asking that we guarantee a 9-hour day for students that need it, the opportunity for a 9-hour day. So this would include their school day and then after school or before school hours, and that the instruction has to happen during the after school time as well, but it cannot be the same instruction you receive during the school day. So there are different programs, but they extend for the full 9 hours. And this is offered to your UPE students. And the funding, we're still looking at, Sarah Nitsos is on this. We're looking at how to make sure that the funding can extend throughout the year, including summer. There's mandates on summer as well and how many days you offer it. It's quite extensive.
Is it every day?
It's every day. If a student options into it, it should be not, yeah, they option into it. And the offer is there. So we're in our planning year. And I just want to make that clear. This isn't kicking off now. It's not kicking off this summer, but we will be kicking off in September.
This is
I'm sorry. So when you say that it's available to the unduplicated pupil population, how do you determine eligibility for that? I know it used to be things like free and reduced lunch, but now it's lunch.
We still use that format. We still
Okay.
use the alternative income form to help identify families that are experiencing
homelessness, we have children in foster care, and then of course, low income, also our ELD population. So that would be your
So this is, as I understand it, that's somewhere in the neighborhood of 36 to 38% of our students.
400 kids about.
Yeah, it's just under 400.
We are going to be given funds for this. The question we all, I'm sure, would have is, do the funds, it's mandated this happen, we're getting funds, do the funds cover the mandate? Do they pay for this program, or are we in the hole?
That's what we're working on. And we're working with our partners right at school, and we're trying to guarantee that that funding would cover it and that we'd have everything, buttoned up on that one. So I know Sarah's been on it. We're being patient because it takes a long time to figure these things out. It's a moving target, but districts are mandated to offer this. It's not an opt-in or an opt-out.
But this is, just for the parents who may be listening, this is a program we are mandated to offer. They are not mandated to accept.
Absolutely.
Let's clarify that, correct?
Correct.
They have options to participate for their
Yeah,
students.
and ideally, we have families that truly need the 9 hours. It's for families who have, 2 working parents, or the difficulty with picking up and dropping off, of course, because hours fluctuate in our schools. So there's a lot to this, meals and things like that after school too, making sure they have snacks. So there's a lot to it in terms of offering the wonderful after-school programs that we're known for.
Not to mention, one of the biggest complexities of this is that we're dealing with an early bird, late bird schedule here where, we technically would have to extend school early and then extend school late for some students, potentially, and then also the meal service beyond, in regards to that. So there's some big challenges here that we're facing as we start seeing a little bit more push for more time in school that we're seeing from the governor. So more to come on that, certainly, but I think, yeah, we are struggling with some of the logistics here on how we can serve our students with the mandates that we're being asked to serve them with.
I know, relevant to the finance, we have, the goal is to get the pro forma third interim, if you will, by May 12th. Is this realistic to have answers for this by May 12th by that time?
No, I'm just to be frank with you. No, this is taking a long time because we don't have the numbers. This is a struggle for every district in the area. I've been meeting with, local assistant soups who are working on the same thing, and it's not unique to Wiseburn to be working out these numbers.
So put in contingencies, right?
We're hoping that this funding will guarantee, and we're looking for the governor to support that. It's a large mandate, should have a large backing on it.
I just have one other question about the extended learning group. I understand that it's specific for those 400-ish students that we have, and that they can opt in. Would it be possible to offer those options beyond that? Like, if, I understand we're paying for those students, but could other families opt into whatever program gets extended?
Because we're working with our partners right at school on this, that program is open to all families. And if you're asking about a full 9-hour day, that's.
Yeah. So the other families will be able to basically pay to participate in whatever's offered to the other students.
Right, it's fully inclusive of all families.
So the model we're looking at is based on Rebecca's questions, that right at school would be doing this, and we will simply be subsidizing the UPP students who are not otherwise involved.
That's correct.
They would be offering some sort of new instruction or something, since it's supposed to be.
The beauty of right at school is they already do these instructional pieces. They offer that full on there. It's really a valuable program for us.
So just to follow up kind of along the same question that Neil had, do we anticipate that we'll have a better understanding and kind of a budgetary plan prior to June 30th?
Yes, because we have to have the plan approved by the board. Thank you for asking that. I'm sorry to bring that up. With the plan will come before the board with a full financial outline. All pieces will be in place. And again, Sarah Nitzos is working on this. She's been to all the workshops, been to several myself. Of course, we're all collaborating across the South Bay and beyond that. But you will have the plan in front of you, and hopefully we'll give you kind of a preview of that too once we have some numbers.
Just a couple dates that are coming up, things that we can look forward to. We have our facilities master planning town hall committee meeting on May 2nd. For those people that are involved, they've received an email invitation from the district. We really appreciate those folks that have been involved throughout this process. I think Dr. Goldman, Mr. Martinez may be on that email distribution. Then basically after after a long hiatus, as Ms. Hamburg shared, we have Rock Around the Block that's coming up April 30th. Definitely looking forward to that. Want to share too that we should look here at maybe some of the parking opportunities that we may have. Chevron did put a lot of money into that 135th and Aviation site, striped it for parking, compacted it for parking, threw the binding on top of it to keep the dust down. So I think it's in pretty good shape for us to bring cars on there in a way that's safe, that's manageable with the driveway and all of that. So I will ask our maintenance department to take a look at that, what options we have, how safe it is, and maybe do some test runs in there first.
And access, human access, cars can get in and out, but do people do they have to go out where the cars come in to get around?
Right.
Is there a better way to get to those? Because gates, I think, were semi-permanent when put in.
They're definitely posted in, I guess,
Yeah.
I think it's posted in or something. There's a better term,
yeah.
driven in, there you go, sorry, thank you.
So, Blake, for that property right now, don't we have that under lease to Chevron though?
They did not exercise these. They basically funded us they paid us for the full use of it, but they didn't need it.
So they're not
using
going
it.
to use, okay, because if it was under lease, then we technically have to get approval from Chevron.
Right.
To use it, because we have it, but we don't.
We
Okay,
don't,
great,
no.
thank you.
And it was just through April, so it would have been the last day of the lease.
Oh, okay.
Anything else on sewage?
No, I think that is it for today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, moving on to minutes. Section 6.1, regular minutes for March 24th. A motion, please. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Barr?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Abstain?
Thank you.
Who wasn't present for the meeting?
Thank you. Action items 7, motion for either 7, 1, 2, or 3 independently or all together as you choose.
Would like to motion 7.1 through 7.3. That's okay with my colleagues?
I have questions on 7.2 and 7.3. So, but I can second.
Thank you.
And I have a question on 7.3 as well.
All right. And just for clarity, 7.1 is due to the governor's mandate. We need to have this every month, allowing us to do Zoom meetings should we choose to do so. So we're simply validating that again. 7.2, Roger, you had a question, so please. Go ahead.
So 7.2 is to approve a waiver of state meals, of the state meals mandate. And this is only for summer school 2022. What would be the cost if we were to provide a meal for summer school students? I'd like to assess what that financial hardship is. And if it's not as significant, then I'd like to see then logistically, can we and how could we provide that meal over the summer school?
To that point, do we know the percentage or number of UPP students that are attending summer school?
Not for this summer school. We haven't finished enrolling. If you're asking historically, I can bring that back.
Interesting to know.
I have a related question, I guess, just about meals. I know that they were not offered during spring break. And so I'm just curious about, I know we did that during school dismissal, obviously, there was a different mandate, but just wondering about where students, what's the usual practice during spring break, and is that something that we can look at for future breaks?
Yeah, so the usual practice is not to serve during that time, as well as the summer. So the summer waiver is one that's come to the board. In the past, I believe we optioned last summer. We did offer food. It was sort of the seamless summer program. But technically, or traditionally, I should say, during our breaks, we don't.
Has the federal reimbursement for these funds exhausted, or are we still getting money for these funds? Would they be helping us in the summer program?
You do get reimbursed during the summer. Yeah, but it's not a break-even program.
Right.
So we'd have to get more financials on exactly what this would look like.
So maybe we can look at that too, because if there are students that are, say, hungry at school and they're coming in as it is for a summer school program, depending on the cost there, if we can do that, I would like to provide a meal so that they're not learning while they're hungry in school. I mean, I personally get grumpy when I'm hungry, so I don't learn as well, so.
That is true.
Thank you.
Based on Mr. Banuelos's request, are we able to table this particular item to the next board meeting? Hard to vote on this without and answer that question.
So but the summer waiver, we normally do in January, just almost boilerplate, almost like indefinite salaries. So it's just something that we have. It's not that we're necessarily taking action. I believe that's what business office was taking forward, was just to have it approved. They're waiting for more information, but at least they have the waiver should it be needed.
Greg, do you have any clarification on this, or we pretty much got it?
I think you can exercise this. It doesn't necessarily mean you need to submit it. While you're getting some more information. You've obviously taken an action on all three of these, or a motion on all three of these items, so you'd have to go back and redo the motion and break this out in order to table.
I guess though, to clarify what we're voting on here, is this does not negate Ms. Manuelos's question. We could vote to allow the waiver, but not exercise that waiver, should we get information back that says this is cost effective. Is that satisfactory?
They would have to put it back on the agenda to say no. So I mean, if information could be brought back in by the next board meeting for review, then I would recommend we just remove it from this agenda and bring it back in 2 weeks.
All right, so we need to retract, we have to have a new motion to take 7-1 independently, and then we'll take 2 and 3 independently.
Will we have by the next board meeting in 2 weeks, information like from the federal government on how much reimbursement and all that?
We should be able to get that. We have a few weeks here to try and pull that together. If we can't, I'll reach out and let you all know that where we're held up, but I think we can try and pull some information.
And I guess from my understanding from kind of Eileen's response is we may have historical data on enrollment, but not necessarily information on what the actual enrollment is for the summer, right? I mean, that's happened. So we probably won't have that in 2 weeks, but we'll probably go off at least historical information.
And I'd be totally comfortable with that information from referencing what it could be or what the reimbursements were. Doesn't have to be exactly what we're gonna get this year because it changes every year, right? So if we could be close with the historical.
Are there also, irrespective of dollars, are there logistical issues we're not considering here that need to be, this is now a logistical issue that we've never prepared for, had issues with? I don't know if we're missing the boat here.
Well, we have significant employment issues here. We have employees that we have to obviously extend the contract through the summer. We have to be willing to work. I mean, or want to work, not willing to, but really want to work during the summer when they plan to not work during the summer. So it will be logistically difficult. It'll be a challenge. It was last year. But the food service team is great. So we could reach out to them and see what we can do. I would say though, that we also have partnerships with local districts for people who do want to get food. There are places to get food for free as well. So I mean, obviously it's not down the street like Dana is or so forth, but we do create other options too, including Davinci has also provided food for some of our students when they've needed it as well. And I don't know what they're doing for the summer either, but I'd have to check with them as well.
I think to honor your request, Rod, you're asking that we table this issue.
Yes.
So therefore, we need a motion. I don't know what practice we do to undo a motion other than to have new motions. I could do some counsel here.
That's the motion maker to withdraw his original motion.
There you go.
Yeah, because I motioned
Will you-
I
will you
motioned
withdraw?
7-1 through 7-3, so I will withdraw 7.2.
I think you withdraw your motion
Yeah,
and
withdraw
then
the whole
recreate a
motion
whole
and
new
start
motion.
All right, so
Let's just do
I'm
the
gonna,
one.
I'm gonna withdraw my motion.
Thank you very much. Thank you. A motion for 7.1, the adoption resolution 2122.
You have a motion for 7.1.
Thank you. Ms. Subaki, vote please on 7.1.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
We're tabling 7.2 pending more information. 7.3, motion please on the school calendar 23-24.
I have a motion with a question. I'll motion with a question.
Second. Thank you. Close the question.
At our last meeting, I know we talked about the 22-23 calendar and that was as closely aligned with the Davinci calendar as possible. This 23-24, have we kind of followed the same pattern? Because I don't know if they've come out with their 23-24 calendar, so.
I reached out to Davinci on this very topic, and they do have a different timeline for putting together their calendar, which is much later than this. So we were unable to match their dates. They also have a significant amount of professional development that goes on throughout the year that drives their calendar that it does not match our calendar as well.
Okay. I know we've improved dramatically in matching the calendars, so I'm hoping that it'll be kind of similar, I guess, in 23-24, because that does cause some quite a burden sometimes on families.
Yeah, I think Matt and I have talked about this in the past, and the spirit is that we would try and align it as best possible. And I know that we were able to get very, very close. The beginning of the school year is a little different because their start time is so much sooner than ours. But then we try and match up at the Thanksgiving break, and also at the holiday break, the winter holiday break, although Davinci has an extra week. So, but 2 of the weeks will overlap, and then spring break. So we do try and get the major holidays, and then the end of school is about a week apart. So it's really close.
And I think with that, I think we've improved considerably. I
Yes.
think the families appreciate that. So I guess since we're kind of further ahead, and maybe we could share this calendar with them so that they have something to go on.
Of course.
And I just wanted to point out, there's a typo on the middle school calendar. January, the last day of winter break should be January 5th, and it's listed as January 8th. January 5th happens to be my birthday, that's the only reason I saw.
Mental note. There you go. Ready for a vote, Mr. Buck.
I have a couple.
Oh, I'm
of
sorry.
questions too.
Go ahead, George.
So the first question, I'm looking at the elementary school calendars. Right now, we start school on what is this, on August 25th is our first day. Then the next 2 weeks, the 28th through September 1st, and then the second week, the September 4th through the 8th. Both of those weeks on the elementaries are shortened days. Is there a reason we have 2 weeks at the very beginning of the school year for shortened days at the elementary, yet at the middle school level, we only have 1 week? What's the need for that? And can we shorten it to 1 week so that they start and have full days? Why is it so long for the first 2 weeks?
So I'm sure the elementary principals could speak, more eloquently to this, but it's our understanding, and this is traditionally how it's been for our elementary schools, in that these students do take a longer time to assimilate to coming back to school in the elementary grades. It just takes longer for them to learn the schedule, bring the backpacks, all the details that come with starting a new program for a young adult or a young child. For a young adult in middle school, we found, in fact, that change happened when I was at the middle school with Dr. Silvers, that we as a team, as a staff, agreed that it wasn't beneficial for the students to go out early. It was more beneficial for them to be in the school at that age. So we did shorten it. You'll see that those shortened days do arrive at a different point in the school, which is the end of the school year, when the middle school does not need to have longer days and tends to have less learning going on those days. We see a lot more learning at the top of the school year.
So if you look at the 15th of, let me see what that is, of May, it looks like, you see some shortened days in the middle school for student-led conferences, that week of student-led conferences, as well as the 7th of June through the 12th of June. If you match that to the elementary calendars, it's not, so they make up those shortened days at other points in the school year. It just has to do with the flow of the year.
Okay, so that it's more for the student acclimation at the elementary level, so you get used to it, as opposed to, where I was going with the question as well, was if teachers needed more time to prep, could we just shift the school? Teachers could start that first week on the 28th, and students come in the following week and give them more prep time, but it sounds like it's more for ramping up of students as opposed to the teachers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there also some impact on the early bird, late bird? Like, if we, I was my understanding when my kids, are at that grade level, that the teachers are determining early bird, late bird splits during that. So I'm also curious whether, in 23, 24, it might move away from early bird, late bird at some point, whether that also might change, whether we would need 2 weeks of that at the beginning.
I agree with Dr. Harbeck, but the little ones, especially at Cabrillo, do take a while, especially when we're talking about teaching kindergarten kiddos, to get used to a full day of school. But early bird, late bird has been a driving reason, and I believe the short days are in our contract with our teachers to have this certain number. Traditionally, everybody's an early bird through those first 2 days, so it's a shortened day. But for us, really, that is our early bird schedule. So the kiddos are all coming on early bird schedule instead of staggering. for all of those gray days. And the teachers are getting to know them, and then they receive word about whether they're going to be a more permanent early bird or they're going to move to the late bird schedule on that last day. So looking ahead toward that school year, it would be on September 8th. So that's been kind of how it's been. So for us, for example, kiddos are,
Third week.
it's at the end of the second week, and then the beginning of the third week is when the actual staggered schedule kicks into place. So it's shortened days. For us, that's a 1:45 for our first and second graders. So basically all of the kids are on the early bird schedule those great days. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah.
explain.
I was
Oh,
I was
sorry.
just gonna say that I know that it is a challenge for the elementary
Yes.
school families. You know, that they have this different schedule for the first 2 weeks, and they have to figure out different childcare potentially, you know, going forward for the rest of the year. So
It
I
is.
know that that has been
Yeah.
a traditional burden.
So one of the questions to Ms. Hamburg, I would just want to clarify too, you mentioned if potentially down the road we didn't do early bird, late bird, would this calendar be impacted?
I think I would want to get some input from the teachers, because I do think that having preparation time, as was brought up for teachers, and I mean, it came up earlier about how Davinci has a lot of professional development time. That's really valuable at the beginning of the year to have, for teachers to have time together. So I think if we were thinking about a schedule change in terms of early bird, late bird, I think it would be worth considering additional preparation and collaboration time for our teachers at the
And I
beginning
think
of
that's
the
why
year.
also my question to Lisa is like that first week for that teacher collaboration, I would, even though school would bring back teachers earlier, but students wouldn't be in there until like that following week, like the 5th after that holiday on the 4th.
Yeah, I mean, I
Maybe they
think,
start Thursday, Friday, half days, and then full days the next week or something to get
Right.
their feet.
To allow our teachers some prep time as well.
I mean, we would definitely need to get, of course, gather teacher input, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but I feel confident, and I know how hard it is, right, of lifting off at the beginning of the school year, and right now, we usually have very limited time actually for teacher collaboration at the beginning of the school year, and I know more would be valued across the board.
And is that teacher collaboration time something that, like, do they need to see the students before they decide how they're collaborating? Do you know what I mean? Like, does that impact when
think
the
yes.
collaboration time is available?
I think yes and no. I think having some ahead of time, just to be talking as a grade level team about how they're kicking off the year, right? What is everyone starting with? What are the community building things? What is the pacing? Are we all set on our curriculum maps for the year? And then other things, I do think having like shorter days where you have met the kids in the morning and you can be thinking about what you are learning to get ready for what's coming next. So I kind of think it's both.
I think Mrs. Wilbur, you didn't know what you're getting in here.
Since we have that calendar up, my other question was, as we see this calendar, like the shaded days are shortened days. I noticed on this calendar, every Wednesday is shortened day. What happens on that Wednesday?
TCT time.
Teachers are, they finish around at 2, and I don't want to say exactly 2, but they finish close to 2 o'clock. And from that time until 3 o'clock, that would be considered planning time for a teacher, individual planning time, or however they choose to use it on campus. And then from 3 to 4 on a Wednesday is the staff time.
Okay.
When we come back
And the
together.
regular school day goes till what time?
So for us, it's a 1:45 for early birds and a 2:45 for late birds on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And then on Wednesdays, everyone's basically an early bird, which is why it's a gray day. It's everybody's out at that 1:45. So it's 8:30 to 1:45.
So since you're not on the microphone, just 8:30 to 1:45 for all students on Wednesdays. 1:45 is the stopping time for early birds, 2:45 for late birds.
For us at Cabrillo, yeah. And to add, just because I have to, kindergarten's a little bit different. So there's a lot of, it's a complex schedule. It's a complex schedule, I would say.
It's only a gray day on paper, Lisa.
But and that's why I was trying to just understand what happens on those days, because obviously there's 33 shaded days. It's every Wednesday in that sense, right? And then compared to Dane, that's only like 4 or 5. So obviously we have different programs, different schools. I'm asking more for understanding there, and it's not really that short. anyway, in terms of the
It's about an
students and the
hour.
instructors.
Yeah, it's about an hour, and I think the purpose is the teacher planning time, which at the middle school is of course like a period of one of their 6 periods of the day. We don't have that at the elementary school, so part of the teacher planning time takes place on Wednesday afternoons.
That's pretty consistent in elementary schools. If you pull across the county at least, it's pretty consistent that you would have a block of time, an early dismissal time for elementary for that planning purpose, because secondary schools, it's embedded into the master schedule.
What percentage of our students, if I may, are going to write at school at that point on Wednesdays? So they're not just going home.
Eileen?
I don't have that
No,
information.
I was like, Dr. Dougal is not here. She would actually have that, Dr. Goldman. Let me get that. I can get that for you. Sorry.
Just putting this on the big equation.
So you asked specifically for the number, the percentage, number of write at school.
Yeah, on Wednesdays, are 100% of the kids just staying and they're just not with their teacher, they're at the school with a different provider. I don't know what that percentage is.
Yep.
I don't think that for us, I don't think there's a change from the other days of the week to Wednesday, but more students go over earlier.
Right.
Same number, just early.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, my experience with my own kids, right, is that that's what happens, is that rather than like someone else coming to get them, they just stay. And so instead of going over for Rowan, it would be 3 o'clock, we would go over at 2:10.
Right.
At 138th Street, so.
I just thought about something as we're asking these questions about the early bird, late bird. During the COVID period, did we do early bird, late bird?
No, because we had like a group in the morning and
Probably.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
There we go. We had, well, when we were fully online, it was different, right? When it was on Zoom, we had like whole group, and then we had like 3 different times when kids would log into smaller groups. It was very different. When we came back for hybrid, kids were broken into basically an A or a B. So they were either a morning, or the morning kids would go home. We had the window of time to clean and sanitize all the rooms, which was the reason for that. Or then we had an afternoon group. So it wasn't staggered. There wasn't overlap between the 2 groups when we were in hybrid instruction last spring. It was an AM, PM separate.
And I guess where I'm going with it, I've known about the early bird, late bird. I went through the school here and was familiar with the program. And as a result of the pandemic, obviously that switched things. Sometimes it's, good to kind of look at our programs and revisit them. And I know you just mentioned the complexity of the schedule. So I guess not expect a response, but, maybe it's something that we should look at. And I'd like to maybe get some feedback from all the different principals in terms of, is the early bird, late bird program effective? Because I know many other school districts have gone away from that program.
Yeah.
So I guess the question that I would ask to our principals, and I don't expect a response now, would be to, in light of, what's occurred, a lot of us have revisited and looked at our programs. And I think that would be something maybe we should revisit. And I'd like to maybe get some feedback, Dr. Silvers, from our principals and our staff and our teachers. Just to get some feedback, because I know it's a program that we've had for a long time, but if it's something that maybe now we need to revisit and reconsider, I'd certainly like to get that feedback.
Yeah, I think it's worth considering and getting feedback from principals, from teachers. I think it's always good to reflect. I think teachers value the small group time and the personalized time that early bird, late bird affords with students. But I think also that stepping back and looking at whether there are potentially ways to have that same results, but have more instructional time for our kiddos, especially if we are seeing large numbers just leaving to go to right at school, is worth a conversation. And whether we can kind of have both, if we maybe think a little creatively about options.
I just want to add that. I will say one thing I do know is, and I should have the exact number. I don't. I'll wait for Dr. Dougal. I know that was asked, so we'll definitely get the right at school participation rates. What I do know from right at school is that the participation rate, penetration rate per se, is higher in Wiseburn than any other school district they serve. So there's a huge need for extended care, both in the morning and after school. So that is something to take into consideration. I would say that when you do reflect, there's absolutely a benefit to having small groups at certain points during the day. Agree with Ms. Wilberg. I don't think that's something we'd want to fully sacrifice. I think we should take a look at it and figure out, how that looks. And are there other ways to look at that small group time with a lot of specials that we do have present now? We do have music for all. We have opportunities maybe to bring a visual arts program back, where you could create a sort of wheel for students to exit and enter a classroom, so you have smaller group time. So I think there's a way to reframe, relook. Again, something we will want to bring back to the board. I appreciate the questions. Certainly appreciate Ms. Wilberg for bringing that up. It's a practice that's been around for a long time. It was back in, I think, we saw records back to 1983 that this program, has existed. And that was when there were 30 students in a classroom. I just want to sort of frame it like that as well. When there were 30 students and you're breaking it up 15 and 15, we now have class size reduction. So we're down to 24 students. So some of the arguments for it may not be as solid and as sure as they were in 1983, and definitely worth us coming back and taking a look at it. So thank you. Appreciate the questions. I think that we have some work to do there.
When you also mentioned that the breakfast program might be, one of the challenges, and I can only imagine that with the early bird, late bird, that having to run 2 different breakfasts will be a significant cost barrier.
There's an ironic confluence of a whole lot of factors going on right now that make looking at this. This is obviously something that was looked at a few years ago before the pandemic, but evidently it should be looked at again.
I guess that's a long way of asking, can we improve the calendar 23-24?
I think that we wouldn't see, so A, yes, I think there won't be major changes to the calendar, and B, if there were, certainly we bring it back. I mean, we don't like to, but we could message it, bring it back. As you saw.
This is also not next year's calendar, but the year after.
Correct.
It gives us a little bit more time.
That's
Right. And we do have a better communications platform now, so we would get that information out if we did need to change it. I frankly don't see it changing.
We're not tabling another agenda item.
I hope
Ms.
not.
Subaki, let's take a
I hope not.
This is 2 years out.
Yeah. We're trying, right?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Moving to action items for fiscal item 8.1, review, ratify an agreement with King Consulting for CalShape AB 41 services. Dr. Silvers, I do believe we have a presenter that will be joining us here.
We do. I think we're gonna give this a shot.
All
We
right.
haven't done this in the
So while
past.
we're getting set up, we do need a motion for 8.1.
Yeah.
So moved, thank you.
Second.
Thank you very much.
So we have April Thompson, who will be here. There she is. Hey, it's working. Hi, April. It's good to see April. I did have a really nice meeting yesterday with Jamie King Iceman and April regarding some of the opportunities that we have, wanting to make sure we get in line for some funding opportunities related to the basically the energy efficiency, and looking at our water conservation and those types of things. So April was nice enough to join us really on the fly. I mean, she committed to joining us yesterday. So thank you, April, for being here. I really appreciate it. And yeah, take it away.
All right. I'm gonna share my screen here.
Yeah, she's trying.
Okay. All right, can you see my screen?
Hang on, April, we're trying to get your audio.
Oh, okay.
Hey, April, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, now we can hear you.
Okay, great. And can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for allowing me to attend your meeting tonight and attend virtually since I'm up in Northern California. My name's April Thompson, and I am a school facilities consultant with King Consulting. And I will be giving a brief overview on CalShape, which is the California Schools Healthy Air Plumbing and Efficiency Program. Let's see here. So one of the many issues that we know the pandemic brought to light was the need for improved facilities in public schools across the state. We want to make sure that we're providing healthy air and water to our students. The California Energy Commission took AB 841 and developed the CalShape program to not only improve the quality of the ventilation and plumbing systems in our schools, but to also provide the funding and guidance to improve the energy efficiency and water usage of those systems. The funding for the program is accumulated from the 2021, 22, and 23 energy efficiency budgets from the state's largest investor-owned utilities. So Wiseburn funding will come from Southern California Edison and SoCal gas companies. AB 841 has some built-in statutory requirements. One of which is that the funds are offered first to what the CEC determines as underserved communities. And the second one is that a minimum of 25% of all the projects funded are funded in these areas. So these are the 5 qualifications that the CEC put forward to qualify a school site as being located in an underserved community. Right now, Wiseburn Unified has 1 school site that is eligible, and that's Juan de Anza Elementary. And it was identified to be located within an area that's identified as among the most disadvantaged 25% of the state, according to the California EPA, and based on the most recent Cal EnviroScreen tool. And usually that means that it's located within a certain proximity to highway, to emissions, things like that. Let's see. So right now, Juan de Anza Elementary has had an application accepted. We submitted an application on behalf of the district in October of 2021 on the assessment and maintenance pathway. Under the CalShape, the ventilation side of the CalShape program. That grant was awarded in the amount of $80,887, and that award was accepted by this board on February 10th of 2022. And what that grant award will fund is an assessment of all the mechanical units at that school site, any maintenance and repairs that will be needed to improve the performance of those systems. And contractor will also document any recommendations for additional needs or replacements, in addition to replacement of MERV filters, at 1 round of MERV filters at the site, and installation of CO2 monitors in every classroom. So if our proposal is approved by the board tonight, then we will start work immediately with staff to prepare a plumbing application, which is the other side of the CalShape program, because we want to capture those priority funds for Anza Elementary while they're still in that priority round. The second funding round, which is what we're in right now, closes on May 31st of this year. And the plumbing program, what's really great is that it funds the entire project cost. So 100% of the project cost. And that's really rare to find in any grant program where there's not requiring any matching funds. And that is specific to the plumbing side. And they're gonna fund all the project costs, including any repairs that may be anticipated to replace the equipment. That includes faucets, shower heads, toilets, urinals, commercial dishwashers, clothes washers, and ice machines. There's no date yet for the next round of funding when that will open, but we anticipate it to be likely in this summer of 2022. And if our proposal is accepted tonight, then we will start working with the staff to explore both ventilation and plumbing funding opportunities at all the school sites, because we anticipate that round 3 will no longer be a priority round, but will be open to all schools and all districts across the state.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
No, thank you for the wonderful presentation.
And just a point of clarification for me, April, this does not require matching funds, and this is only Anza at this time.
Yes, that is correct.
I was just curious, so the 80,000, sorry, I wasn't on the board when that grant was approved, so forgive the ignorant question. The 80,000, sounds like it's just for the study of possible an assessment of the issues, if there are issues that are found that need to be fixed. How would we pay for those, I guess? Is there?
Well, there are three different pathways, and the pathway that fit Anza Elementary is called assessment and maintenance. But what it includes is an assessment of every mechanical unit on the site. It also includes a 20% contingency, which is within that $80,000. And that will be can be used for any repairs that are identified that can optimize those systems, so that will improve the performance and the efficiency of any of the units at the school site. It does, the funding in this pathway stops short of replacement. So that's when the assessment report that will be generated after all of this work is done by a contractor who's selected to do the work, that assessment report will reflect any recommendations for larger major repairs that are not covered by just the assessment and maintenance or replacement. So if there are units that are identified for replacement, then it will be documented in that assessment report. And the way that the CalShape program was intended is that in a future round, districts who utilize the assessment and maintenance pathway can take those reports and use it as justification farther down the line to request upgrade funds that would then fund the replacement of those mechanical units.
Thank you. So it sounds like there's up to 16,000 extra dollars beyond the 80,000 that if they decide, if there are maintenance costs, right? Is that right? That'd be about 20%?
The 20% contingency is included within that 80,000. The 80,000 is the total award.
Got it. Okay. All right.
April, I had one question. I think I heard you mention this. Did you say it included one round of changing out of filters?
Yes. So the $80,000 grant award does include one complete round of materials and labor to replace the filters. And they want the CEC is hoping that you use at least a MERV 13 or the highest filtration level that your units can handle.
Thank you.
What's the lifespan of those filters?
The filters, so those filters, I don't know about the MERV 13, but depending on the system, they can be quarterly or every 6 months, right? April, I think.
Yeah, it really depends on the system.
All right, well, thank you very much. Appreciate your time tonight. Appreciate your help getting us this money.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's call the question. Aye. Staying with action items fiscal 8.2 and 8.3, both are ratifications of money spent. Take a motion for both, if you're so inclined.
The motion 8.2 and 8.3, and I may have had a question on 8.3. Right?
I'll second. Thank you both. Any questions on 8.2? This is a more efficient way of paying for services. Thank you very much. 8.3 is your question.
One question and then a comment. I'm not familiar with the ID. Well, I guess it's the IDEA report. Lawndale School District is a significant amount of money. I don't know if
The receipt.
yeah, exactly. You see, yes, a good thing for us, but I'm just wondering if you could provide a quick explanation on that one.
I believe this is a transfer of funds from your SELPA to the district.
Okay.
SELPA.
Okay, I just wasn't familiar with
Reimbursement effect
that. Wasn't familiar with that.
for our special ed costs.
Okay, perfect. And then again, just, I know we've said this in our last meeting, I just want to reiterate it again. Big thank you to Chevron for their donation of $25,000, especially considering that they're not using the parking lot. So.
And this was an additional 25.
This was the 25 for the parking lot. They've actually approved an additional $60,000 above this as a donation to the district. So Eileen is working on a letter, two separate, one for 25, one for 35, that will help us gather money for, generally they like STEM related activities. We're trying to make it so that we don't write the same, because Chevron's just a great partner. So we want to make sure that we're novel in our, what we write now.
Big thank you. They've been a wonderful partner.
Indeed. That's all. Ready?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Action item 9, consent items. Motion, please.
I would like to motion 91 through 94, if there's no objection.
So, for motion.
I'll second.
Thank you.
94.
Mr. Efficiency over here. Thank you. Comments or questions on 9.1 through 9.4? I do think there was a comment on 9.3, Dr. Silvers, about one of our folks who's rescinding a resignation.
Yes, sorry, I'm gonna pull this up here.
Mr. Prado.
So I do believe, yes, Mr. Rafael Prado, I believe rescinded his, so I want to approve these. I'm going to ask the board if we can approve this without his resignation on there. So I'm asking that we amend this.
This is amendment to 9.3.
We'll work with HR on what our options are with Mr. Prado so that we can, obviously staffing is important to us. We want to stay staffed. Also need to review this with Nisha a little bit to just to make sure we do it the right way. So just asking that we remove that, but approve the other items, and we'll move forward and bring back something else to the board if we need to.
Any comments or questions?
Do we need to amend the motion to?
It would be amending the motion with removal of Mr. Prado's, yeah.
You got it.
Yep.
Okay, let's call the question.
All in favor?
Aye. We have upcoming dates and events. And
Dr. Goldman, can I maybe speak out of turn here a little bit? I'm sorry, and move back. I just wanted to do justice. Greg, I don't know if you had something you want to add. I believe I maybe spoke over you, and I don't know if there's information you had on the lunch waiver that you wanted to add to the conversation, or if I captured it, we'll bring back more information.
No, I think we captured it. We'll bring back the information. We'll pull the numbers together.
Okay, I didn't want to sorry, I didn't want to overstep. Okay, we're good.
Better safe than sorry. So as Mr. Martinez mentioned, there are a lot of events upcoming. Dr. Silvers, I'm not going to highlight any of these particular.
Rock around the block, for sure. All the open houses, we have our renaming CAC. This is all important. So, we do post this on our newsletter too, that we'll be sending out here just in a few days, really. We'll capture a lot of these that haven't happened yet, but let's focus more on these April dates. We have 138th Street open house will be on Thursday. We have the renaming CAC next Tuesday, and the open house is going to be Wednesday, the 27th. And the Wiseburn Ed Foundation's Rock Around the Block is on the 30th. It's Saturday, the 30th. Then we have our master, then we get into May. So we obviously have several things in May. I can go through them all, but they'll be on the newsletter as well.
Just to say that the time for tomorrow's open house is at 5:30, right? Because it just says TBD for the time, but.
Yes, it's 5:30. We had a TBD in because it wasn't.
No.
We posted this on Sunday, and I do have one update as well. Actually, I don't. Sorry. Good.
I have a regretful comment. I was thrilled to be involved in the first Rock Around the Block and helped to get that going. I believe I've attended every one. I think this is number 20. I think so. With incredible regret, I have a commitment I cannot get out of, so we'll miss this Rock Around the Block, but no will be represented by the other board members, so unfortunately. Yeah. With that said, any other agenda items or any other issues to address at this time?
Dr. Goldman, I could just say with Rock Around the Block in mind, I know that WEF does want to do a group photo of district leadership and the governance company, governance team. So that's at 9:45 on that day. So hopefully we can gather. I think it'll be kind of challenging. So if maybe we can meet at one of the basketball courts, just so everybody's in one place and we can manage moving people to the best photo op for the team. I'll send a text message or something as we get closer, just to kind of give a.
I'll send you a stick of
Yeah,
picture with my.
we said,
head
well,
on
we'll
it.
photo, that's what Photoshop is for, Dr. Gold. No, we'll make it work. All right, that's it for me. Thank you.
With nothing else, at 7:27, we will adjourn our meeting this evening, and thank you all, everyone.
Closed session, Dr. Gold.
Yes, we do need a closed session. Yeah.